with Alena Neves, and Coach Jimmy Fly Hellmann of HSRN. Alena, we've been covering the Mystics for a long time, and Coach Tebow was the mastermind years ago of how he wanted it, and he's on the cusp of making it to back-to-back finals, and this year they would be the favorite if they were to make it.
They sure would. I'm hoping and praying for them. But you know what though? I predicted it from the very beginning. I saw them winning and going all the way, and I knew that they were going to come back defensively stronger than they did last year, especially by the way that they got swept by Seattle Storm. I mean, it was just like brutal. And I knew that Kristi Toliver, after talking with her and some of her people throughout the year when she was assistant coach with the Washington Mystics, defensively, she felt that they should have stepped up way more than they did. And I knew that that was going to be a huge effort for them as a team. And I knew they were going to focus on that this year. And pretty much they have. But the only problem with last night, I feel like they got exposed. And they got exposed for a part of their game that I feel they need to fix and correct. Because they can't come in tomorrow playing like that. And even if they close this series out and play Connecticut, they definitely can't come back in the way. I feel what got exposed was the lack of physicality from Emma Meesseman, first of all. I mean, you don't go from 57 points in 2 games to all of a sudden they hold you down to 6 points, I believe she had last night. I mean, that's just pitiful to me. And you can't afford to have a night like that. And then also, I feel that she was not effective at the board. She just wasn't. I mean, Liz Cambage just kind of dominated the entire game. And it was so easy for her. I mean, there was no contesting of Liz at all, I felt. I was like, it really was a sad performance for me. I just didn't feel that they had a game inside the paint yesterday. Where was their game last night? I didn't see it. And Emma never got into her rhythm. I would say that, and I believe that was one exposure that there's a potential to shoot them down. If you shoot Emma Meesseman down, then that's going to put a lot more pressure. And then obviously Alena Deladon, she's had a okay night, but to me, I felt that she could have been much more effective. And Kristi Toliver could have probably played better as well. Even though they normally, Alena Deladon usually scores between 19 and 20. She averages 19 to 20 points a game, and I think she had like 21 points anyway last night. But I still feel that the rest of the team, I think, were in low one-digit numbers going into the half. Nobody was really scoring anything, and then in halfway through the second quarter, they started falling behind.
Jimmy's ready.
He can get to his point.
You gotta take a breath when you talk.
Well, this also poses the question. Alena Deladon, on her own, she shoots 51.5% from the field. As a team yesterday, the Washington Mystics only shot 38% from the field. So it just shows they had an all-around off game. And I think, going on the road, you have to play 10 times better, especially against the Las Vegas Aces. And for them to have a poor shooting night, and then they only went to the free throw line. They went 10 for 12 from the free throw line. That
right, but we have to remember
points.
that they had won their last 8 out of 9 games going into yesterday. So maybe that was maybe that's what it is. They just had an off night and they'll be back. But they can't afford at all to play this way tomorrow, nor against Connecticut, because they're not going to win at that point. But
absolutely.
Well, go ahead.
All right. Well, first off, I just want to know, do you have an 800 number that goes along with your psychic network predictions?
Yes, that'll be coming out too. I'm a walking conglomeration.
I know that you monetize everything, but my only question here is, no, I was at the first 2 games with TC, and we talked as the games were progressing. All you got to do is watch the presser after game 2. Lambeer stated implicitly, he was not going to let Emma Meesseman score 2 career high, 27 the first game, 30 the second. It has nothing to do with aggression. She was out on the perimeter, not being guarded and getting kick-out, spot-up threes, wide-open looks that she would normally not in the past take. and she's obviously up to her game where she's confident enough to take those shots and make them, and she was burying them. He went back to Las Vegas and made adjustments. He's playing to his strength. They cannot guard Cambage in the post. This girl's a legitimate 6'8". She is big. I mean, Saunders they're basically single covering her with Saunders, who's at 6'2". So they're pounding the ball inside. Only the other 4 starters for the Mystics, Andrew, 18 points. EDD had 22, that's 40. The 3 starters for Vegas, Cambage, Wilson, and McBride had 67 between the 3 of them. So you got a 27-point spread right there. I think Coach T is going to have to make a counter adjustment and talking about aggression, and Ariel Atkins has disappeared in this series.
Well, he started Christy Colliver the second half.
Well, but I think he needs to start Ariel Powers.
Yes, absolutely.
Because she is aggressive on that wing. She can take Atkins' place. That might take some pressure off of Atkins coming off the bench, and she can give you something. I don't mind Tolliver coming off the bench because in game 2, she was red hot in the fourth quarter. She's rested. She's getting her feet back under her. But she gives them explosion in that fourth period when she's coming in. Other players are tired. She gets open looks and knocks them down. But I said it on the reel we did, they're the only team in the WNBA with a winning record on the road. They were 12-5. That's almost 75% win percentage. Every other WNBA team is below 500. So I actually expected them to take care of business. I was disappointed that they got blown out. Not that they lost, but they got blown out. And when they score less than 79 points,
they struggle.
They're 0 not struggle. They're 0-6.
Right.
They only lost 8 games all year, so they got to play with pace. They got to play fast, and they got to make shots.
Well, how do you think that Coach Tebow can continue to utilize his bench? Their bench outscored the Las Vegas Aces by a significant amount. Christy Tolliver had 14 points while Ariel Powers came off the bench, and she had 13 points. On the other hand, the Las Vegas Aces bench, they only had 3 points. So I think that's another strong shoot that Coach Tebow could be using in this series a little bit more. We haven't seen too much of the physicality from Tiana Hawkins. Yes, she's another undersized player, but you know she's going to get in there and bump around a little bit and stuff like that. So do you think that Coach Tebow needs to be a little bit more effective with using those players on his bench and having more of a rotation?
It's the playoffs. Benches are shortened. There's a reason Las Vegas ain't playing. Their starters are playing, into 30-plus minutes because he's keeping his best players on the floor. And the young lady, the point guard, Plum, he put her in the starting lineup. She played great in Washington. Didn't score a lot at home, but she had 9 assists. She's setting the table and pushing the pace for their team. But no, the Mystics, that's why I say put Powers in. I want my best 5 on the floor starting, Tolliver coming off the bench, and, if need be, because Cloud, the point guard,
Natasha.
very aggressive at home. Scoring, I think she should look for a shot more. Non-existent on the road. So they got to flip the switch. They won on the road all season long. It's a game of adjustments. I think a counter is putting Powers in the starting lineup. Don't know if he's going to do that or not, but certainly they got to play a game in the 90s and above to win.
And the Mystics, they've been dominating their teams that they've been playing all year. I mean, sometimes winning by a franchise averages of like 20 points.
But before the season, everybody with the rosters, everybody picked the Aces to win it all. So they finally got in their rhythm because
but the Mystics
they
beat
play.
them 4 out of 5
that.
times in the regular season, though.
Two out of 3. But I think one of the things that we saw is that EDD, she knows her role players are going to be there at home, but on the road she has to take a bigger step. The wide open shots that Saunders was hitting at home, she didn't hit yesterday. As you said, the point guard, Cloud did not was not as aggressive offensively as she has been, but she has been throughout the year. I expect her to have a step back, but I think they'll close it out in Game 4. But as you were saying, Jimmy, if they don't, it's going to be a crapshoot in Game 5. I can't see them losing at home.
I think it's a coin flip because Vegas. Look, Lambeer is a tough-nosed guy that's won WNBA titles. He knows how to massage his team mentally to get them ready. And Wilson, McBride, and Cambage, that's a formidable trio. They're not chopped liver. They can play, and they had game one in hand. The Mystics are very fortunate that they won game one, in my opinion. I was there, and that game could have went either way.
I agree with that.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. I think the Mystics, what they're lacking, they haven't put together 4 quarters of basketball. We've seen 2.5 maybe, but I have not yet to see them play a complete game in this series. Yesterday in the third quarter is where they have been struggling, and they go on the road. They get outscored 24-13, and that has been a place where they're going into halftime in the lead. Third quarter is kind of shaky. I think seeing them put together a complete game will kind of be the icing on the cake if they're able to do that.
Well,
tomorrow night.
If they're who we think they are, championship caliber, then they'll handle the business on the road. You don't want to, it's great you got game 5 sitting there, but you don't want to think, oh, we can go home. Anything can happen.
Right.
Tweak ankle, bad officiating, bad bounce here or there.
Which we have
seen. Which we have
and
seen.
you're the
Bad
Washington
officiating.
Redskins.
Speaking
Hell to the Redskins.
Speaking about the physicality,
Yeah.
are the referees
confidence.
going to allow Cam Bays to just bulldoze her way? I mean,
Well,
Emma has fouled her twice by smacking her face into Cam Bage's elbow, apparently.
Apparently, yeah, but we hear Liz Cambage after the game.
Yeah, she was talking
she
mad
said they
They
have
got
small
forwards
forwards
trying
guarding
to guard
me,
me.
so if you're not going to get physical, get out the post. That's her
No,
threat.
She said,
She
get
said
in the
more
weight
than
room.
that.
Or
She
get
said,
in the weight room. Liz Cambage, she's on it,
I'm telling you.
So it's like,
She
what?
said, if you gonna guard me, I'm 6'8".
in the
You
weight
need
room.
to come with some muscles and some.
But it's like we gonna say all that after you guys pull out one win. She struggled if you ask me, the first 2 games. So at this point, she's feeling good now though, because that one game yesterday, 28 points. I don't think the Washington Mystics made her make decisions yesterday.
No, but what she did was she planted a seed of doubt.
Absolutely.
And that's what they need to be careful with, because you never want your opponent to take you over mentally where now you start questioning your own game. That's the problem
Well,
here.
it's coming to
is
a
that the
social
Mystics
media
need
war as
to be-
well.
Wow,
when
it's a
you're-
Twitter
when she
war.
says,
Yeah.
when she says, oh, you putting your guards on me, but they ain't even
right.
strong enough, then that's a big difference right there.
1-800-ELENA-7.
Yes,
They're
you need
telling me to wrap. We're going to go to a quick break.